Hey guys and girls, Bored now back with you. On this video I will be talking about the second episode of the HBO drama series Mare of Easttown. It is called Fathers, so I will be going into full spoilers once again, and if you checked out my first review of this show you'll know that I was pretty positive overall. I was liking what I was seeing. Good part for Kate Winslet, interesting character drama, that kind of thing. Good small town setting, and obviously intrigued to see where it goes. We only really got a hint at the mystery in the first episode. It was more about the drama involving the lead characters and some of the other dramas, and probably say similar in here. I mean, because of the ending of last week's, we do get more into the case and the mystery in this episode, but it's still quite slow moving, so I will say that. But there's definitely some interesting little reveals in this second episode, and a really good cliffhanger. I will say that, which obviously I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, another good episode. I thought maybe not as good as the first one, and I think the main reason for that is just because there is a lot of drama going on with the various characters around the town, and I think some of it could have been cut out. There was definitely some fat in this episode, some scenes that were almost so small and incidental that they didn't really need to be there. Good episode anyway, once again, and encouraging signs, but just one or two like question marks at this point. So, as I thought, the body that was, or that appeared in the river at the end of last week's, was indeed Erin. She quite badly beaten, which obviously, considering how Brianna really wailed away on her, then I think that obviously puts her in the spotlight more so. So Mare obviously is on the case. She's also told in this episode that she'll have like another detective working with her. This guy from out of town, this guy from another precinct, who apparently has a very good track record with cold cases. And she naturally rolls her eyes. I mean, being the sort of character she is, she doesn't want to work with anybody, especially an outsider. I think someone from out of town. I think that's probably crucial. She probably wouldn't want to work with anyone else anyway, but there is something about the sense of this small town and a tight-knit community, and the fact that probably would rather work with someone from within her own force, from within the town, than like an outsider that she doesn't trust. She's thinking about this new character, so he comes in and it's rather predictable. Then obviously Mare's going to give him like the cold shoulder. There's a couple of nice like lighter moments with them. I quite like the scene where they're going to like basically pick up Brianna at one point, and and he's like, can you give me a lift, basically, and she lets him in the car reluctantly, and then she basically speeds off really fast, so it like takes him aback, and he goes flying back in the seat. So I enjoyed that, but I'm not really sure what to make of the new character. Yeah, he came across as a little bit bland and a little bit. Obviously, his gimmick is that he's maybe the more quirky, light-hearted one, and he obviously seems like a decent enough guy. He has some clunky dialogue, but I guess that was the point in a way, and they obviously start working a bit better together by the end of the episode. But I mean, one line which stood out for me, because like at one point when they're starting to get on, Mare's leaving, and he says, have a good nightmare. And obviously it becomes a gag because nightmare, literally, because he then questions it. But it sort of stood out a little bit because, hey, that's like a common expression. But case and the mystery of the show, it's a bit hard to really judge him at this point. But I guess he grew on me a bit as the episode wore on, is what I would say. There's quite a nice scene with him and with Mare's daughter when he's like interviewing her about the thing in the woods, because of course she had contact with Erin before she was found dead, and she was upset that she didn't convince Erin to like come back to her place, kind of thing. And so that becomes a thing. But there is a nice scene between her and this new detective where, yeah, she just gives him a bit of advice about, Mare and like getting on with her mother. So Steph is really well handled, and we see again some quite powerful, intense scenes, like the scene where they go to tell Erin's father, basically, and he believes that Dylan did it. He there's no doubt in his mind, because he says Dylan never wanted the baby. Anyway, Brianna becomes the main suspect because the video of her attacking Erin goes viral, and they sort of drag her in. I think this again is like a character beat of Mare, the way they bring Brianna in, because she's working at a parents' restaurant at the time, and Mare sort of comes storming in it and just like drags her out, and it's this whole fit scene because her parents are there at the time, and the father in particular is like going off on one at Mare, and yeah, while Mare is like dragging her out and making the scene, Mare's partner is in the background trying to calm down tensions. He's trying to put out these fires, but they bring Brianna in, and she is like just a real bitch to Mare in this scene, and most of the scene asking for a lawyer, because Mare like mentions an attorney, and Brienne's like, no, lawyer. Now, to be honest, I didn't know there was a difference between an attorney and a lawyer. I thought they were pretty much the same thing, but obviously not. It reveals in this scene, and this becomes part of the drama of the episode, that Mare had a son who committed suicide, because Brianna like mentions it in the scene, and is like a real bitch about it, and no wonder your son committed suicide. I'll obviously get to the end of the episode, and the big sort of twist, or the big reveal. Tommy or something, he like harasses Mare over it. And there's more stuff to do with, obviously, the case with Dawn, and crimes be connected, and there's again more scrutiny on the police over in the local store with Mare, and is breathing over her shoulder and just kind of trying to intimidate her, and Dawn picks up for Mare at this point, and so that was quite a good scene. The big twist, or the big cliffhanger, actually involves Frank, Mare's ex-husband. Mare goes to visit him, and she's there to ask Erin, because I think, from what I could understand, Frank like is a teacher, and he sort of taught at Erin's school. More cordial to Frank in this episode, because I guess they have a connection from the past. But again, there's something about Mare and the outsider. She probably sees like the fiance as a bit of an outsider, whereas it's almost like Frank's the devil she knows. But you sort of hate Mare in that moment with the fiance, because it's like, come on, she's actually quite nice. Can get on with her, Mare. In that scene anyway, Frank just says that he did take Erin for a couple of lessons. He got the impression that she came from an abusive background. But the real big twist at the end of the episode, which was really well done, I didn't see this coming at all, is Erin's best friend confides in her mum a secret. The secret turns out that Dylan wasn't the father of Erin's son. Then Erin didn't say who the son was, or who the father was, but she thinks it was Frank. So there you have it, Frank. Like the cliffhanger, and certainly paints him in a very different light to this, because he taught at the school, and now maybe hinting that there could have been an affair between the two. Aaron's father, basically, I don't know if he's definitely dead, but he shoots Dylan in the woods, viewed in this episode as met by Mare. They were in the woods together, but he didn't speak to her, which we know is a lie, because of course he was there when Brianna was beating her up. Brianna is phoning him like frantically, like she phones him a couple of different times. In Mare's mind, it probably puts like suspicion on Brianna even more later, because it's like she was desperately trying to get hold of him. One of the big like moments of drama with Mare is about her current son, who is sort of like disabled. She mentions he's probably on the autism spectrum, various things, but the concern is that he could follow the same path as her son, who committed suicide. And she talks to like a therapist or a doctor at some point about the situation. Obviously this is very difficult and grueling for you, so would you like therapy? Mare kind of shies away from it and says, no, I'll be fine. See how closed off she is, which is like understandable, I guess, but it's a really powerful scene, and it's just a good example of why you get like an Oscar-winning actress like Kate Winslet for this sort of drama, because she is just so convincing in that scene, just so brilliant. And it's a really well-directed scene. It's very sort of quiet and sensitive and just very intimate, and it's all the more powerful because of it. But it's one of the more darker moments of the episode. It's quite hard to watch, and you really feel for Mare. Also, there's this subplot involving like the custody of the child, of the disabled son, because apparently Mare isn't like her biological mother, and at one point we see Mare's daughter and her mother taking the child to visit Carrie, her name is, the biological mother, who's applying like to custody for the child, and this is obviously going to cause friction with her and Mare, and a bit with Richard. Sends Mare flowers and invites her on a date at his own, like it's like this book event which is being thrown, which you have to say comes off as a bit narcissistic to invite her on a date on like this event that is honouring you. She watches all these other like girls like sort of flirting with him and stuff, and she gets fed up of waiting for him, so she like starts to head off, but he comes after her, and it's another quite funny scene really with her, and again goes to her character, because he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, I to be honest, I didn't think you would show up, and he persuades her to come back in, and she says, you're not getting any sex tonight, which is so mad. Well, that's not the reason I invited you, and she's like, yeah, it is. But to be fair to Richard, he seems, at least at the moment, to be a sincere guy, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that wasn't his motivation. I think he genuinely likes Mare. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be back next week with a review of episode 3. So thanks for listening. See you guys again soon. Goodbye.